welcome. I know we've been talking off air for the past few minutes about FinOps and FinOps X and what you're talking about there. But for this session, we're going to spend hopefully 15, 20 minutes where we just look at your backstory, how you got into FinOps, a little bit about what you're going to be doing with Abstrato, the platform, and the community hub. And I should take this moment to say thank you for supporting us because it's really genuinely appreciated.
Yeah, one of the things that I like to do, Steve, is to share knowledge. And every time I see a platform that is willing to share the knowledge, I'm always into it. It's a passion of mine. So
Yeah,
glad to be here.
I think for us, if you look at what we're doing, I think the platform will be fantastic, and it will bring end users and third-party providers and contractors. It will bring everyone together. But the community hub is really where the exciting stuff is, because we'll have people like you getting involved, doing video. I know you've been doing, or you will be doing, some of your own videos. You've got articles that are getting dropped on there. We're eventually going to have a space where people can come on and ask questions, and some of the ambassadors can jump in. And I think that will be fantastic to have you and other people like Victor and many more get involved. Will be amazing, because you can't create a training manual today, publish it, and then everything's just changing. Everything's changing on a weekly basis. I think that's the exciting thing about FinOps, but also the slightly scary thing from my perspective anyway. Okay, so we're going to try and do this session, which is all about Anderson, a look at you and your story and how you got into FinOps, where you started your career, some of your views around FinOps now, and then anything that you've got up and coming that's interesting. We should probably plug you on this to say, if anyone's watching this, Anderson will be at FinOps X November I want to say 14th, but it's not, is it?
It's November 11th.
Right, sorry, my apologies. November 11th. And what's the subject that you're talking about there? I mean, I know it's FinOps, but what's the category?
Absolutely. This is one of my areas of research, which is business value. How can we measure value delivery in the FinOps context?
Have you got the presentation done, or is it yet to be? Actually, you would have probably had to have handed it in to the guys at FinOps to say, look, this is what I'm going to talk about, before they say, okay, come on board.
Yeah. We need to have that done 1 month in advance. So
right, okay.
I have all the drafts ready. I have some pieces here and there. I have already an article about this topic that I will make this as a presentation and make that fit into the time that will be available for me to talk over there.
Excellent. Well, I hadn't been to Barcelona until 2 weeks ago, and we went on a short family vacation for 4 days, and I loved it. It rained for 2 of the 4 days, but as I was saying to Victor the other day, I kind of sat in a few tapas bars and drank wine and ate nice food. So if you haven't been there, you'll love it. It's a beautiful city.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for that.
And actually, before we get into talking about you, I didn't know. So what someone was saying to me, Barcelona didn't have a natural beach. They actually had to build it for the Olympics. I can't remember when they had the Olympics there, maybe 2002 or something. So you've got this massive beach that's along Barcelona, in front of the city centre, but it wasn't always there. It's man-made.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Me neither.
All right. Another attraction to see there.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's probably one of the best cities I've been to, but the sunshine helps, I think. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Anderson. If you can kind of go back and kind of give us a little bit of a 5-minute view on where you started in the IT sector, and then kind of how you fell into FinOps, and what you've been doing over the past few years around FinOps. That would be fantastic.
Sure. My journey started on the year 2000 when I joined a big company in the oil industry on the IT area. And very early in my career, I understood that you are the one that should be driving your career. You shouldn't be expecting someone to tell you or find a star in you and kind of guiding where you should go. You should be the one that should be guiding that. And I say that, and I also a firm belief that career, all the experiences build on top of the other until you get to the point where you are. And as you are driving, you need to make choices. And by making choices, you leave other things behind or aside. I started my career pretty much involved in IT. And then inside IT, I went to project management. Inside project management, I went into project management office, and inside the project management office, I gather agile and product management knowledge as well, until I get bumped to FinOps and see that FinOps kind of wrap up all of this into its domains. And it's unbelievable because when I was doing project management, one of my specialties was really related to cost and financial management. And as a product manager, I need to talk with all the personas that today are personas included on the framework of FinOps, like procurement, finance, executives, and asset management, and what have you. And surprise, surprise, when I landed into FinOps, I said, okay, it's not actually a 100% a green field or brown field for me. Feels like I've been here before.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of understanding that FinOps is to operations, which is the opposite of projects. As project has a start and finish well-defined, operation doesn't have an end.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter because you have costs in there. And if you think like, okay, it's operation, but you have financial cycles that are limited, you can embed into it all this knowledge into FinOps, and that's going to work well. And this conversation, then the need of having conversations with areas that are not so technical and make the bridge with the technical is one of the things that I love to do the most.
That's so I can imagine. Thank you for that. And just listening to the story of how you got into it, it sounds like you were kind of doing, well, no, it doesn't sound like, it's true. You were doing all the things that FinOps talks about now before it really came a thing, right? You know, I think it was 2018 or 19 the book came out. But before then, of course, we were all doing, I remember one of my other businesses, we were working with Microsoft, and we were actually auditing the Microsoft CSP providers. And very often we'd go in and we'd say, well, you know, okay, you're reselling this stuff via the cloud, but you're not billing the customer, you're undercharging them or you're overcharging them. And that was my first experience of really working with organizations in the cloud. And I think 90% of the time, the billing was incorrect. And so my experience of kind of cloud cost management was coming at it from a slightly different angle. But listening to you, it sounds like you were doing all the things that FinOps talks about in their book and their foundation before it really became a thing. So good head start.
The big credit for FinOps as a domain of knowledge is to acknowledge what everybody already knew, but were not able to put that in a structure, which is everybody's in different degrees knew that for that to work, the areas need to talk to each other to be successful. In order to that to work, you have to control the source of the cost, which is the ones that are really pushing the button that makes the cost happening. And all of that needs to be tied together because the organizations need to provide profit. And profit is not only related to the developers, but so many other areas.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of knew that everybody should be talked and involved. And then FinOps discipline came to say, yes, this is it. It needs to be a culture. Everybody should be working together. Otherwise, it will not fly. And then everybody, okay, that makes sense. And that's the reason why FinOps makes success, because it makes sense.
Joe, that's a good. I'm trying to imagine you in the workplace when you're going into an organization that's just embarking on FinOps. Are you someone that's kind of quite hard and harsh and looking to implement and drive everything with FinOps? Or are you a communicator where you're talking and working with the different teams, understanding their language, empathizing where they're coming from and their problems so that you can try and work and play in the same space? I think you're probably the latter. I don't think you're someone that goes in and tries to like, right, this is what we've got to do for a FinOps perspective, rip all of that expensive stuff out, take all of your cloud away, get your costs down.
Yeah, one of the things that I love to do, Steve, is to combine things. I love to do that. It's when I get into a customer, I know that the customer has strengths and have areas to improve.
Yeah.
They are not 100% disorganized. They have something.
Yeah.
So how can we reuse what you already have and connect slightly different so that we can make it work?
Yeah.
Or how if we come to you and say, hey, have you ever thought on talking with the procurement guy? No, why? Because of this and that. And then people, and it's beautiful to see that blink on the eye of the person when they just realize that something makes sense.
Yeah.
And that it's not that hard to do. So using the existing culture and using the existing artifacts on the company is the fastest way to get to the result with the less impact possible. And that's how I like to work.
You know, it's interesting because we've got a lot of talk about FinOps and AI, but we've also got a lot of talk around FinOps and IT asset management, which is kind of like, I want to say the old world of FinOps, but it's not, because organizations still need to do ITAM and they're always going to have to. But I think one area where I think, and these two will combine at some point, even though they are different practices, because they're very collaborative in that sense. They have very similar goals. But I think ITAM can learn a lot from the FinOps community, where there's an understanding that, you know, the financial guys don't really speak operational language, and the operational guys don't always understand the financial languages. But you have to try and bring these people together and collaborate and understand each other's issues and problems and how you can work together. And I think that ITAM's been around for 25, 30 years. And I think, you know, we've got certifications, we've got frameworks, but I feel that FinOps has really touched on something there about bringing these communities and teams together rather than working in silos. And I think that's where, from an ITAM perspective, they can learn, that community can learn from the FinOps space for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that the asset just changed the nature of what it's made.
Yeah.
But they continue to be an asset.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of knowledge that has already been brought together on how to manage assets. So people need to start thinking that it's something that you can touch. It can be things that cannot be touched. And now computers are virtual, completely virtual. You don't see it anywhere, but they are still assets. Yeah. And I can see a clear connection, especially because, and I should add that FinOps Foundation just added it into the framework, the new personas graph that includes ITAM in it as a FinOps ally, which to me makes lots of sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because those two, I'd never done FinOps until a few years ago. So, okay, we'd been around working with organizations that were looking to manage their costs, but I've never done what you've done. So your technical level is up here, and I'm kind of way down here.
Oh, don't say that.
But on an ITAM perspective, when we talk and listen about where ITAM has come from and where it's going to and how it needs to embrace this new digital world, there are so many fascinating ways in which FinOps can kind of lock in and mesh with ITAM. And for me, as we build the community hub out and we have great people like you coming on board and contributing, I'm really looking forward to making sure these two communities kind of like almost mesh together a little bit, like, you know, the whole FinOps idea does with financial and operational people.
Yeah, I should confess that my I-10 knowledge is let's say it's not as deep as yours.
We're going to train you up though, Anderson. Don't worry. Don't worry.
All right, that's good, because I see clearly as a vision that the mesh of the two can create incredible innovations in this area. Incredible innovations, in innovations that are not that has the main characteristics of being very simple to implement, to understand, and that kind of things that people look and say, huh, why didn't we think about it before? Things like that.
I'm complete. So for me, I totally agree with you. It's something that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm hoping that as we build out the community hub, the two communities will come together and start talking, and we figure out ways of how we get things better, and hopefully as well contribute to, you know, the FinOps Foundation and all the great work that they're doing as well. Right. Okay. We're at 4:30 now. I know you've got to jump. I definitely do. We've just about fitted this into the 20 minutes. I definitely know that we're going to have to do like a much longer one to fit in your story and talk about some wider subjects. But for now, I'm going to just say, really appreciate you coming onto this call, because I know you've had a busy day. Thank you for supporting us at Appstrato, the community hub and the platform. And yeah, we'll do this again soon.
My pleasure. I feel honored, Steve. You know, I know you for some time, and you know that you're a reference on your field. So really appreciate of having me.
Perfect. All right. Listen, happy Friday. Take care.
Happy Friday. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.